The rain was coming down hard that Tuesday night in October. Lisa had been working on her computer for hours, designing a new logo for a local bakery. The coffee next to her had gone cold, and her eyes were starting to hurt from staring at the screen. She lived alone in a small house on Maple Street, the kind of quiet neighborhood where nothing exciting ever happened. She was just about to save her work and call it a night when she heard it. A soft knock at her front door. Lisa froze. It was almost 11 at night and she wasn't expecting anyone. Her heart started beating faster. Who would be knocking at this hour? The knocking came again, gentler this time but more urgent. Lisa slowly got up from her desk and walked toward the front door. She could hear the rain getting heavier outside. Through the window she could see the street lights reflecting off the wet pavement. When she looked through the peephole, Lisa saw a young woman standing on her porch. The woman was completely soaked from the rain. Her dark hair was stuck to her face and she was shivering. She wore a light blue coat that looked like it belonged to someone who worked at a hospital. In her hands, she was holding what looked like a medical bag. Lisa had always been careful about opening her door to strangers, especially at night. Her mother had always told her to be smart and safe, but something about this woman seemed different. There was something in her eyes that made Lisa feel like this wasn't some random person trying to cause trouble. The woman knocked one more time, and Lisa could hear her voice through the door. "Please, I really need help. I'm a nurse, and there's been an accident nearby." Lisa's hand moved toward the door lock before she even realized what she was doing. Something about the woman's voice sounded genuine. She wasn't trying to trick anyone or make up stories. She sounded like someone who really needed help. Still, Lisa was nervous. She kept the chain lock on and opened the door just a crack. "What kind of accident?" Lisa asked through the small opening. The woman looked relieved that someone was finally talking to her. "My name is Amy, and I work at City General Hospital. I was driving home from my shift when I saw a car go off the road about 2 blocks from here. There's a young man trapped inside, and he's hurt pretty bad." Lisa could see that Amy was telling the truth. Her hospital badge was clipped to her coat, and the medical bag in her hands looked real and well used. Amy's face showed the kind of worry that you can't fake. "Have you called for help?" Lisa asked. Amy nodded quickly. "Yes, but the storm has caused accidents all over the city tonight. The ambulance service said it could be another hour before they can get here. This boy doesn't have an hour. I've already checked on him once, but I need supplies to help him properly." Lisa felt her stomach tighten. She wasn't the kind of person who got involved in dramatic situations. She lived a quiet life, worked from home, and minded her own business. But looking at Amy standing there in the rain, completely soaked and obviously worried about someone she didn't even know, Lisa knew she couldn't just shut the door. "What kind of supplies do you need?" Lisa asked. "Clean towels, hot water, maybe some blankets, and a warm, clean place where I can prepare everything properly before I go back out there." Lisa took a deep breath and made a decision that would change everything. She unlocked the chain and opened the door wide. "Come in," she said. "You're going to catch cold standing out there." Amy stepped inside, and immediately Lisa could see just how wet she really was. Water was dripping from her coat onto the hardwood floor. Her shoes made squishing sounds with each step. "Thank you so much," Amy said. "I know this is strange, having a complete stranger show up at your door like this. But that boy out there needs help and I can't do it alone." Lisa was already moving toward her linen closet. "Don't worry about it. Let me get you some towels." As Lisa gathered towels and started heating water in her kitchen, she watched Amy transform before her eyes. The nervous, wet woman who had been standing on her porch just minutes ago was now moving with purpose and confidence. Amy was clearly someone who knew what she was doing in emergency situations. Amy started removing her wet coat, then her soaked sweater, revealing the clean scrub she wore underneath. Everything she did was professional and focused. She wasn't wasting any time or movement. "I need to prepare some supplies and then get back out there quickly," Amy explained as she organized items from her medical bag on Lisa's dining room table. The longer that boy stays trapped in that cold car, the worse his condition is going to get. Lisa brought over the hot water and clean towels. "Is there anything else I can do to help?" Amy looked up from her preparations and studied Lisa's face carefully. Actually, yes, I could really use an assistant. Someone to hold supplies, help me carry things, maybe even help with some basic first aid. But I have to warn you, it's not going to be easy. You might see things that will upset you. Lisa felt scared but also strangely excited. She had never been part of anything this important before. Her whole life had been about playing it safe, staying comfortable, avoiding risks. But tonight felt different. Tonight, someone really needed help, and she had the chance to make a difference. "Tell me what to do," Lisa said without hesitation. Amy smiled for the first time since she had arrived. "Don't resist the urge to help," she said softly. "Sometimes we have to trust ourselves to do things we never thought we could do." As they prepared to head back out into the storm together, Lisa realized her quiet Tuesday night had just become the most important night of her life. Lisa grabbed her raincoat from the closet while Amy finished organizing her medical supplies. The storm outside was getting worse, and she could hear the wind picking up. She had never done anything like this before, but something inside her felt ready for whatever was coming. "Before we go out there," Amy said, checking her medical bag one more time, "I need to tell you exactly what we're dealing with." The car went off the road and hit a tree. The driver is a teenager, maybe 17 or 18 years old. He's conscious, but he's trapped and he's in pain. Lisa felt her stomach flip. "How bad is he hurt?" "I won't know for sure until I can examine him properly, but from what I could see when I first checked on him, he might have some broken ribs. Maybe internal bleeding. The good news is that he's awake and talking, which means his head injury isn't too serious." They stepped out into the storm together. The rain hit Lisa's face like tiny needles, and within seconds, she was soaked despite her raincoat. Amy led the way down the dark street, carrying her medical bag and a flashlight she had pulled from her car. "There," Amy pointed ahead. "You can see the headlights." About 2 blocks down, Lisa could see a car that had slid off the wet road and crashed into a large oak tree. The front of the car was badly damaged, and steam was rising from under the crumpled hood. The headlights were still on, creating an eerie glow in the rain. As they got closer, Lisa could hear a voice calling out from inside the car. "Help! Is someone there? Please help me!" Amy immediately switched into professional mode. She approached the driver's side window and shone her flashlight inside. Lisa stayed close behind her, trying to see what was happening. "Hi there," Amy said in a calm, reassuring voice. "My name is Amy and I'm a nurse. I was here earlier, remember? I came back with help and supplies." "Thank God," the young man said. His voice sounded weak and scared. "I can't feel my legs very well, and my chest really hurts." Lisa could see him now through the window. He looked so young, probably still in high school. His face was pale and there was a small cut on his forehead. The steering wheel was pressed against his chest and his legs were trapped under the dashboard. "What's your name?" Amy asked while she examined the damage to the car. "Tyler," the boy answered. "Tyler Johnson. Is my mom going to find out about this? She's going to kill me if she knows I was driving in this storm." Amy smiled gently. "Right. Now let's focus on getting you out of here safely. We'll worry about your mom later. Tyler, this is Lisa. She's going to help me take care of you." Lisa felt nervous as Amy introduced her. She had no medical training at all. What if she did something wrong? What if she made things worse? Amy seemed to read her mind. "Lisa, I need you to hold this flashlight so I can see what I'm doing. Can you do that for me?" Lisa nodded and took the flashlight. Her hands were shaking, but she tried to keep the light steady. Amy began a careful examination of Tyler's condition. She checked his pulse, looked at his eyes with a small pen light, and gently felt around his ribs. Tyler winced when she touched his chest. "Okay, Tyler," Amy said. "The good news is that you're going to be fine. The bad news is that we need to get you out of this car very carefully. You might have some broken ribs, and I want to make sure we don't make anything worse." "How are we going to do that?" Lisa asked. The car was so damaged that she couldn't see how they would ever get Tyler out safely. "We're going to have to be creative," Amy replied. "Tyler, I need you to listen to me very carefully. We're going to try to move the seat back to give you more room, and then we're going to support your chest while we help you slide out." Amy looked at Lisa seriously. This is where I really need your help. I need you to reach through the passenger side and support Tyler's back while I work on freeing his legs. It's going to be scary, but I need you to trust me and do exactly what I say." Lisa's heart was pounding. She had never been in a situation like this before. What if she did something wrong? What if Tyler got hurt because of her? But then she looked at Tyler's face. He was scared and in pain, and he needed their help. Amy was asking her to trust herself, to believe that she could do something important and necessary. "I can do this," Lisa said, surprising herself with how confident she sounded. Amy smiled. "I know you can. Tyler, we're going to get you out of here. Just stay calm and let us do the work." Lisa walked around to the passenger side of the car. The door was stuck, but with some effort she managed to get it open. She climbed partway into the car and positioned herself so she could support Tyler's back. "Okay, Tyler," Amy said. "On the count of 3, I'm going to pull back on this piece of metal that's trapping your legs. Lisa is going to support your back so you don't twist or bend in a way that might hurt your ribs. When I say go, I want you to try to slide toward the passenger side, but let us do most of the work." Lisa could feel Tyler's heart beating fast through his shirt. He was scared, but he was trying to be brave. 1, 2, 3, go. Amy pulled hard on the twisted metal while Lisa carefully supported Tyler's upper body. Slowly, inch by inch, Tyler began to slide toward the passenger side of the car. It took several minutes of careful maneuvering, but finally, Tyler was free. "We did it," Amy said with relief. "Tyler, how do you feel?" "Better," Tyler said weakly. "Thank you both so much. I thought I was going to be stuck in there all night." But Amy wasn't finished yet. "Now comes the hard part. We need to get Tyler back to Lisa's house where I can treat him properly and keep him warm until the ambulance arrives." Getting Tyler back to Lisa's house was harder than anyone expected. He could walk, but very slowly and with a lot of pain. Amy supported one side while Lisa took the other. Every few steps they had to stop so Tyler could catch his breath. "I'm sorry I'm being such a problem," Tyler said as they made their way through the rain. "You're not a problem," Lisa replied. "We're going to take care of you." She surprised herself by how natural it felt to comfort him. Usually, Lisa was the kind of person who avoided difficult situations. But tonight everything felt different. She felt needed and capable in a way she had never experienced before. When they finally reached Lisa's house, Amy immediately turned the living room into a medical treatment area. She asked Lisa to move the coffee table and lay clean blankets on the couch. "Tyler, I want you to lie down here," Amy said gently. "I need to examine you more carefully now that we have good light and a warm place to work." Lisa watched as Amy transformed into a completely different person. Gone was the nervous, wet woman who had knocked on her door an hour ago. In her place was a confident medical professional who knew exactly what she was doing. Amy carefully felt along Tyler's ribs, checking for breaks. She took his blood pressure and listened to his breathing with a stethoscope from her medical bag. Tyler winced several times, but he tried to stay still and let Amy do her work. "Lisa, can you bring me some more towels and maybe a warm blanket?" Amy asked. "Tyler is going into mild shock from the cold and the trauma. We need to get his body temperature back up." Lisa hurried to get the supplies. When she returned, Amy was explaining Tyler's condition. "You have at least 2 broken ribs," Amy told him. "The good news is that they don't seem to have damaged your lungs or any other organs. The bad news is that broken ribs are very painful and you're going to be uncomfortable for a while." "How long until the ambulance gets here?" Tyler asked. Amy checked her phone. "I called for an update while you were getting settled. They said another 45 minutes at least. There have been a lot of accidents tonight because of the storm." Lisa felt a wave of responsibility wash over her. They were going to be taking care of Tyler for almost another hour. What if something went wrong? What if his condition got worse? Amy seemed to read her thoughts again. "Lisa, you're doing great. I know this is all new to you, but you're a natural at this." "I don't feel like a natural," Lisa admitted. "I'm scared I'm going to do something wrong." "That's normal," Amy said. "The first time I had to help in an emergency situation, I was terrified. But you know what I learned? Sometimes the most important thing you can do is just be there. Just show up and care about what happens. Over the next hour, Lisa found herself becoming more comfortable with the situation. Amy taught her how to check Tyler's pulse and how to watch for signs that his condition might be getting worse. They took turns talking to Tyler, keeping him awake and alert. Tyler told them he was a senior in high school and played on the basketball team. He had been driving home from his girlfriend's house when the accident happened. He was worried about missing the big game next Friday and about how he was going to explain the accident to his parents. "My dad is going to be so disappointed," Tyler said. "He always told me to be extra careful driving in bad weather." "Your dad is going to be grateful that you're alive," Lisa said. "That's all parents really care about when something like this happens." Lisa found herself sharing stories, too. She told Tyler about her work as a graphic designer and about how she had never been in a situation like this before. Amy talked about some of the patients she had helped during her time as a nurse, always being careful not to share anything too personal or frightening. As the time passed, Lisa realized she was actually enjoying herself despite the serious circumstances. She felt useful and important. She was part of something bigger than her usual daily routine of working alone at her computer. "Amy," Lisa said during a quiet moment when Tyler was resting, "how do you do this kind of thing all the time? How do you handle the pressure?" Amy smiled. "You learn to trust yourself. You learn that most people are stronger and more capable than they think they are. Look at what you've done tonight. A few hours ago, you were just working on your computer. Now you've helped save someone's life." "I never thought of it that way," Lisa said. "That's because you're thinking like the old you," Amy replied. "The new you, the one who opened her door to a stranger and went out into a storm to help someone, that person is capable of amazing things." Lisa looked over at Tyler, who was sleeping peacefully on her couch. His color looked much better than it had when they first brought him inside. His breathing was steady and he seemed comfortable despite his injuries. "I think I understand what you meant earlier," Lisa said quietly. "About what?" "About not resisting. About trusting myself to do things I never thought I could do." Amy nodded. "That's the secret to most things in life. We spend so much time being afraid of what might go wrong that we forget to notice what we might be capable of doing right." Just then, they heard the sound of sirens approaching. The ambulance had finally arrived. "Looks like our shift is almost over," Amy said with a smile. But Lisa knew that for her, something was just beginning. Tonight had shown her a version of herself she had never known existed. She felt awake and alive in a way that seemed completely new. As the paramedics prepared Tyler for transport to the hospital, he grabbed Lisa's hand. "Thank you," he said simply. "Thank you for helping save my life." Lisa squeezed his hand gently. "Thank you for helping me find mine." The ambulance lights painted red and blue patterns across Lisa's living room walls as the paramedics carefully moved Tyler onto a stretcher. Amy spoke with them in medical terms that Lisa didn't understand, explaining Tyler's condition and the treatment they had provided. "You two did excellent work," the lead paramedic told them. "This young man is lucky you were here tonight." As the ambulance drove away into the stormy night, Lisa and Amy stood in the doorway watching the red lights disappear down the street. The house suddenly felt very quiet after all the excitement. "I can't believe that just happened," Lisa said, closing the door behind them. Amy was packing up her medical supplies, but she moved slowly as if she was reluctant to leave. "You were amazing tonight, Lisa. I've worked with trained medical assistants who weren't as calm and helpful as you were." Lisa looked around her living room. Just a few hours ago, it had been a simple, quiet space where she spent her evenings, watching television or reading. Now it looked like a medical facility had been set up and taken down. There were wet towels everywhere, empty water glasses on the coffee table, and blankets scattered across the couch. "I should clean this up," Lisa said, but she didn't move to start cleaning. She felt exhausted but also strangely energized at the same time. "Leave it for tomorrow," Amy suggested. "You've done enough for one night." But neither of them seemed ready to end the evening. Amy sat down on the couch, and Lisa made them both cups of hot tea. Outside, the storm was finally starting to calm down, but neither woman was ready to go back to their normal lives just yet. Can I ask you something? Lisa said as she handed Amy a steaming mug. Of course. How did you know I would be able to help you tonight? I mean, you had never met me before. For all you knew, I could have been the type of person who would panic in an emergency. Amy thought about this for a moment. Honestly, I didn't know. But when you opened that door, even just a crack with the chain still on, I could tell you were the kind of person who would listen. And when you let me in, I knew you were someone who cared more about helping than about your own comfort. Lisa had never thought of herself that way before. I've always been pretty careful about taking risks. I like my quiet life. I work from home, I don't go out much, and I definitely don't get involved in dramatic situations. But you did get involved tonight, Amy pointed out. When it mattered, when someone really needed help, you didn't hesitate. They talked for another hour, sharing stories about their lives. Amy told Lisa about why she became a nurse, how she had always wanted to help people but had been scared of the responsibility. Lisa talked about her graphic design business and how she had chosen to work from home because she liked the safety and predictability of it. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had made different choices? Amy asked. What do you mean? I mean, what if you had chosen a job where you helped people every day? What if you had taken more risks, gotten involved in your community, volunteered for things? Lisa had never really thought about it before, but tonight had shown her a different version of herself. I always thought I wasn't brave enough for that kind of life. I thought I was too nervous, too careful. But you weren't nervous tonight when it really mattered, Amy said. You were scared, but you did it anyway. That's what courage really is. As Amy finally prepared to leave, she wrote her phone number on a piece of paper. I want to stay in touch, she said. I want to know how Tyler is doing, and I want to know how you're doing too. I'd like that, Lisa said, and she meant it. After Amy left, Lisa sat alone in her quiet house. Everything looked the same as it had that morning, but she felt completely different. She kept thinking about what Amy had said about courage, about how she had been brave when it really mattered. For the first time in years, Lisa started thinking about the dreams she used to have when she was younger. She had once wanted to be a teacher, to work with children and make a difference in their lives. She had thought about becoming a social worker or maybe a counselor, but somewhere along the way she had chosen the safe path instead. Lisa walked over to her computer and looked at the logo design she had been working on when Amy knocked on her door. It was a nice design, and the bakery would probably be happy with it. But it wasn't changing anyone's life. It wasn't helping anyone in a meaningful way. She opened a new browser window and started searching for volunteer opportunities in her city. There were dozens of organizations looking for help. Food banks, homeless shelters, literacy programs, and even the local emergency medical service were all looking for volunteers. One listing caught her eye. The city was offering free training for emergency medical technicians, and they were especially looking for people who wanted to volunteer with the ambulance service. The training would take 6 months, but at the end, she would be certified to help in emergency situations just like the one tonight. Lisa stared at the application form on her screen. 6 months ago, even 6 hours ago, she would never have considered something like this, but tonight had changed something fundamental inside her. She thought about Tyler and how scared he had been trapped in that car. She thought about Amy and how confident and capable she had been in the crisis. Most of all, she thought about how good it had felt to know she was making a real difference in someone's life. Before she could talk herself out of it, Lisa filled out the online application and hit submit. 6 months later, Lisa stood in front of her bedroom mirror, adjusting the uniform she had never imagined herself wearing. The EMT patches on her sleeves still felt new and unfamiliar, but when she looked at herself, she saw someone completely different from the woman who had been working alone at her computer that stormy night in October. The training had been harder than anything she had ever done. There were nights when she came home exhausted from learning CPR, studying anatomy, and practicing emergency procedures. There were moments when she wondered if she had made a mistake, if she really was cut out for this kind of work. But every time she felt like giving up, she remembered Tyler's face that night and how grateful he had been for their help. She remembered Amy's words about not resisting who she was meant to become. Her phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. It was Amy calling. "Are you ready for your first official shift?" Amy asked cheerfully. "I think so," Lisa replied, though her stomach was full of butterflies. "I still can't believe I'm actually doing this." "I can," Amy said. "I knew that night that you had found something important. I could see it in your eyes." Amy had become one of Lisa's closest friends over the past 6 months. She had encouraged Lisa through every difficult moment of the training, celebrating each milestone and offering support when things got tough. They had stayed in touch with Tyler too, visiting him in the hospital and later attending his high school graduation. Tyler had recovered completely from his injuries and had even written Lisa and Amy a letter thanking them for saving his life. He was planning to study medicine in college, inspired by what he had experienced that night. "I have some news," Amy said. "I heard through a friend at the hospital that there might be an opening in the emergency department for a new EMT. Would you be interested?" Lisa's heart skipped a beat. Working at the hospital had always seemed like a dream that was too big to reach for. "Do you really think I'm ready for something like that?" "Lisa, you've been ready since the night you opened your door to a stranger and stepped out into a storm to help someone you had never met." After they hung up, Lisa drove to the volunteer station where she would begin her first official shift as an EMT. As she walked through the doors, she thought about how different her life had become. She was still doing graphic design work, but only part-time now. The rest of her time was devoted to her new career in emergency medicine. She had joined a community group that taught first aid classes to teenagers. She had started volunteering at a local clinic that provided free medical care to people who couldn't afford it. Most importantly, she had discovered that helping people wasn't something to be afraid of. It was something that filled her life with purpose and meaning in a way that nothing else ever had. Her supervisor, Captain Rodriguez, greeted her warmly. "Ready for your first day as a real EMT?" "I hope so," Lisa said. "Don't worry," he said with a smile. "I've heard good things about your training. Amy speaks very highly of you." The first few hours of her shift were quiet. Lisa checked equipment, reviewed protocols, and talked with her partner, an experienced EMT named Carlos who had been doing the job for 15 years. "What made you decide to become an EMT?" Carlos asked as they restocked the ambulance. Lisa told him the story of that stormy night in October, about Amy knocking on her door and the accident with Tyler. Carlos listened carefully, nodding at the familiar elements of the story. "That's how it starts for a lot of us," he said. "One moment when you realize you can make a difference, and then you can't imagine doing anything else." Just before their shift ended, they got a call. A car accident. On the highway, 2 vehicles involved, possible injuries. Lisa felt her heart rate increase as they climbed into the ambulance and turned on the sirens. As they drove toward the accident scene, Lisa thought about that first night. She remembered how scared she had been, how unsure of herself. Now she felt nervous but confident. She knew what to do. The accident wasn't as serious as it could have been. A fender bender in the rain, similar to Tyler's accident but with less damage. There was one injured person, a middle-aged woman with a possible broken wrist and some cuts from broken glass. Lisa worked alongside Carlos to stabilize the woman and prepare her for transport to the hospital. The procedures that had once seemed so complicated and frightening now felt natural and automatic. "What's your name, honey?" the injured woman asked as Lisa checked her pulse. "I'm Lisa, and I'm here to take care of you." "Have you been doing this long?" the woman asked. Lisa smiled. "Today is actually my first official day, but don't worry. I've been training for months and I have an excellent partner with me." As they loaded the woman into the ambulance, Lisa caught sight of her reflection in the side mirror. The person looking back at her was confident, capable, and completely comfortable with the responsibility she had taken on. That night, Lisa drove home thinking about how much her life had changed. A year ago, she had been living safely but quietly, avoiding risks and staying in her comfort zone. Now, she was someone who ran toward danger when people needed help. She thought about Amy's words from that first night. "Don't resist who you're becoming." Sometimes we discover our true selves in moments of crisis. Lisa had discovered that her true self wasn't the careful, risk-avoiding person she had always believed herself to be. Her true self was someone who stepped up when others needed help, someone who chose courage over comfort, someone who found meaning in service to others. As she pulled into her driveway, Lisa realized that the quiet life she used to live had been replaced by something much more valuable. She had found her purpose, and it had all started with a stranger knocking on her door during a storm, whispering the words that changed everything. Don't resist.